Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Today is a very interesting show, folks. What happens with cold cases? A lot of times, those cold cases go by the wayside and they don't get solved. Sometimes you get a brave person that'll come forward and will give information that'll get that cold case solved. Other times, it takes forensics. It takes hard science to come up with an answer for those cold cases. We have an interesting story today with our guest, Maureen Boyle, in that some of that science, someone brave coming forward, and a combination of some things, get the job done and get justice for one young lady who would have gone by the wayside and might have even been forgotten to the stories of history or just to history in general. And it would have been a sad story had it not been for the courage of some people that we're going to talk about today. Maureen Boyle is an award-winning journalist who had been a crime reporter in New England for decades. She earned a number of national and regional awards for her writing and reporting, including being named New England Journalist of the Year 3 times. She's the author of 3 books, including Shallow Graves, The Hunt for the New Bedford Highway Serial Killer, which was honored by the Public Safety Writers Association. She's currently the director of the journalism program at Stonehill College and lives in New England with her family. Today, we're talking about the book that I had the pleasure of sitting down and reading this weekend. The book is called Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond. Let's bring in right now Maureen Boyle. Hi, Maureen. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Doing good. Let's start this off slow. And I want to start this off slow. Tell us a little bit about Patty Desmond as a person. She only lived 15 years. So this is really a case of a tragic case at that, because she died at such a young age. And she really was from a background that none of us would ever wish upon anyone. She's kind of a forgotten person. Even in her young 15 years, it didn't seem like she had a lot going for her.
Well, she was 15. Her father died when she was young, and she was raised by her widowed mother. She was one of 6 kids. She was the youngest of the girls, 3 boys, 3 girls. And, her mother worked very, very hard during a period of time when women, when they were working, were making far less than men. Patty was, as you noted, 15 when she went missing. It was 1965. So it's we have to think about what life was like in 65 as opposed to what it's like today. There weren't a lot of opportunities for women, for Patty's mother in particular, for good work, but she did work a whole variety of jobs, whether it was waitressing and working at ice cream stands or house cleaning or whatever she could to pay the rent and put food on the table for her children. Patty was one of the youngest in the family. The oldest were all out of the house by 1965. One of her sisters, who she was the closest to, had been married and was living a few miles away. Patty was, some people described her as a little bit lost. She was bullied when she was much younger. Yeah. She was not part of the in crowd. In her high school, there were no yearbook pictures of her that were identifiable. And what's really sad is that even to this day, there's a number of people in the community who didn't even know about this case, which is, I think, an extra tragic point. Yeah. But it was 1965. Patty was going out, or was dating an individual who was 19. Now, that age difference, those number of years, when you're much older, doesn't make a difference. But you're talking about someone who's 15 and someone who's 19. That's a big difference, both in maturity and life views. Patty was a sophomore in high school. The person that she was going out with was someone with a criminal record. He was married and he had a child. He was out of school. So he was picking her up and giving her alcohol, things like that. At least that's according to people that knew them both during that period of time. Patty was, someone might describe her as being a little bit lost. Now, she was looking for something. And this individual, Conrad Eugene Miller, was what some people would, especially women, would describe as bad boys. He had a certain look. One person described him as kind of looking like James Dean at that time. And one of the pictures of one of his mugshots, he does look like, he has that look. And for girls, teenage girls of that age, sometimes they're attracted to that quote unquote danger. And then they get over it. In Patty's case, she didn't get a chance to get over it because she was killed at age 15. She disappeared on a December night. She had an argument with her mother, who really did not want her seeing Miller. She snuck out of the house and she got in a car with Miller and some of his friends. Miller dropped off his friends and drove off with Patty, and that was the last time that she was seen alive. He claimed that he dropped her off near a friend's house, one of her friend's houses, but no one else could verify that. And her friend said she never arrived there. Police long had considered him a suspect in the crime, in her disappearance and possible murder, but they couldn't prove it. There was some stories circulating that she ran away. That could not be proven. There's a lot of false sightings. And obviously they were false because it wasn't her. Police at that time investigated the disappearance. However, keep in mind in 1965, there was a number of teenagers who ran away during that period of time. And it was a whole different time. When someone was reported missing, their names did not go into a national database like it does today. There were no alerts out there, no Amber alerts for missing children. All of the tools that we have today that may have helped find her back then were not in place then. It was just your standard, you have a missing persons report. Police interviewed all the people who may have seen her and then tried to piece together the story and hopefully find her. Police, both the state police and the local police, long suspected that she had been killed, but they couldn't prove it.
Maureen, let me ask you some questions before we advance a little bit here in the story. With Patty, she felt the need to get out of the house and go meet Conrad with these friends of his, and was this overwhelming need to get out and go hang with him. But she didn't feel an affinity for these friends of Conrad's at all. She didn't hang with them at all. It was just the fact that she wanted to be with Conrad. But wasn't there, is that true or no?
Well, they were all hanging out together, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But
the feeling wasn't
today a friend good.
The feeling wasn't mutual with that group of friends, right? They didn't really look at Patty as they didn't look at her warmly, correct?
No, they were not. She was not attracted. Did not appear to be attracted to his friends. At least that was my feeling. The information that I had. So it was just she wants to get out of the house to see Conrad, but there's this feeling that she's really on her own, that she's alone, that
even when she's with Conrad, there's a sense of loneliness. There's a sense of, and maybe I'm reading into it a little bit, but there's a sense that she's really on an island, because with her family, they love her, but at the same time, they'd love her if she would kind of mold herself to what they expect her to be.
Well, it's, we have to remember the financial situation that the family was in at that time. And they loved her and wanted the best for her. But there wasn't much more that they could do at that time. It was just Patty and her brother who were left at home at that time. Her mother was working very hard and trying to keep an eye on both of them. And because of the argument that the mother had with Patty, that really does show that her mother really was trying to keep her daughter safe and keep her away from an element that she knew that would be out of her daughter's control. So
now the father had an issue with Conrad as well, and didn't they butt heads before?
No, the father had died a number of years, a number of years earlier.
Oh, okay.
He had died. I believe it was Patty was 7.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He had gotten in an argument with a family member with his brother, and he hit his head on cement and suffered a head injury and died. Died of that on his way to the hospital.
Oh, okay. Who was it that had the issue with Conrad that was arguing with him?
Well, there was a number of people when they were young children. Some of the other kids in the neighborhood where Conrad grew up would get in, I wouldn't say arguments. They had told me that Conrad would bully them and would fight them, and things like that. So I think that's what you might be thinking of.
Yeah,
some of the kids that were felt that they were bullied when they were young by him. And so that Conrad had a reputation early on in his life, rightly or wrongly, when he was younger, that a lot of the kids tried to stayed away from him, or the parents told the kids to stay away from him because of how he was reacting to them.
Do you feel like Patty had an indication that things were eventually going to go wrong with Conrad, or did she feel like she had some sort of a future with him? Did she want some sort of future with him before that fateful night?
When girls are 15 years old, they are very often in what I call la la land.
Okay.
And they don't, they're always looking for a happy ending. And that's probably what she was thinking, that here was someone who was paying attention to her, because she was not a beautiful girl. But a lot of girls, they grow into their beauty.
Yep.
But she wasn't, and people did not describe her as beautiful, but she was looking for someone to love her, someone to pay attention to her. And this is someone who was paying attention to her, perhaps the wrong type of attention. Well, obviously the wrong type of attention. But at 15, many girls don't get it. A few years of maturity, and she probably would have recognized that this was not the type of attention that she should have. But at 15, girls are very, very, they're naive to what people's intentions are. And that was how this happened. Okay. And I think her mother may probably recognize that, and that's why she was trying to warn her daughter to stay away from him.
Okay. Now, I tell you what, right now we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about what motive Conrad might have had to kill Patty, because she's a 15-year-old girl. And let's face it, Conrad's married, has a child. It's not like Patty would squander this relationship she has with him, because it doesn't sound like she really cares. As long as she's getting attention, she's fine. And it sounds like Conrad doesn't mind giving her attention, whatever attention she's getting. So where does it all go wrong? I'll ask you that question when we come back. Our guest is Maureen Boyle. The book is Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond. We have a link to it in the description of this program, and I want you to go out and get it, folks. It's a really good book, And we'll talk a little bit about the players around Conrad, a little bit about his friends and what his friends are involved in. We'll talk a little bit about how the news gets out that Conrad's involved in this killing. We'll talk about that as well when we come back. You're listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. The book is Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond. Our guest is Maureen Boyle, the author of that book. When we last left you, we were talking about Patty Desmond and that fateful night when she sneaks out of the house. She wants to be with Conrad Miller, who is her married boyfriend, has a child at home. She sneaks out of the house despite the, let's just say, the disappointment and the
objections.
Strong objections. Thank you, Maureen, of her mother, and decides that she's going to go out with Conrad and her friends. But Conrad separates himself and Patty from the group. Now, there is, and I don't know if you want to give this point away from the book, Maureen, but were there alternate plans for Patty with the group?
Well, he had told police later he was going to try to fix her up with one of his friends. And his friends, of course, knew nothing about that.
They didn't?
No, they did not.
Okay. Was that a surprise to his friends when they found this out? And how did they find that out?
Well, I don't think that the police mentioned that to his friends. What happened after she went missing, they did go back to talk to his friends just to get the timeline of where they were and, when he dropped them off. And then they never saw him again. They saw him like briefly when they drove by, but they didn't see Patty later on that night.
Now
they had car trouble and that type of thing, but they did not say anything to police about any plans to hook up with Patty later on that night. It was Conrad who took Patty alone to, I believe, to a coal mine area where some people would go to drink or hang out or make out, that type of thing. And when he took Patty to that area, he told police, and this is from him.
Okay.
He told police that she told him that she was pregnant and that she had a boyfriend and she was going to get married to the boyfriend, or they were going to take off together. And he was nervous about it. He didn't want her to, quote unquote, pin it on him because someone else had tried to pin a pregnancy on him. And in one case, it was his child. And then another case, he was paying, it was clear later on that he had been paying child support on the second child.
Ah, okay.
So, he was married. He had a young wife and one child, and then another child that he at one point was paying child support for.
So he's paying that support on another child. Is he in Dutch with the wife already? Is that the case? And he doesn't want...
His wife was also very, very young. His wife was 16.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So she was very young. She was also very naive, as girls at 15, 16 are.
So Conrad has a bit of a problem with dating outside of what should be his age range. I mean, he's dating young girls.
Yeah, he is dating some girls that are, at least in how we would view it today, far much younger than he should, because the norm today is someone's 19, they shouldn't be dating high school girls, especially if they're not in high school.
Right.
Yeah. But, he told police at the time that Patty told him that she was pregnant, and he left with her, and she wanted him to drop her off at her friend's house, or take her to a friend's house. He dropped her off near a volunteer fire department, which was maybe like a block or so away from a friend's house, and drove off. And that was the last time that he saw her. That was his story that he told. He told the police that the next couple of days, as they were initially investigating her disappearance. He told her friend that. He told everyone that that's what happened initially. Mm-hmm. Much later, he made some veiled suggestions that he had killed her to some of his friends, saying that they would never find her. There was some veiled suggestion that she was in the mine. And his friends all thought, when they heard it, that it was just a bunch of drunken talk because he was not sober when he was saying it. They said, and that they just didn't believe him. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't kill someone. It just didn't make sense. They thought he was just a blowhard at that time.
Sure.
But those type of stories did get back to the police, including, a few years after Patty went missing, state police reopened the case at the request of her sister. And they re-interviewed some of the same people, and as well as some additional people. But they all got to this one barrier. They didn't know where Patty was. They couldn't prove that she was dead. They had no body. They really couldn't arrest him because what if they arrest him and the case goes to trial and he's acquitted? Mm-hmm. Because they really did not have enough evidence at that time to win a conviction. And of course, they couldn't retry him if he's acquitted. So the case really was cold after the mid 70s until the 80s when someone stepped forward. And that was the real break in the case. And that's really what the highlight is for most of these cold cases. Mm-hmm. They're solved by a number of ways: forensics, DNA today, mm-hmm. And people coming forward with evidence. And very often, it's the human element, people coming forward, that really breaks the cases. We are so wrapped up today in DNA that, DNA is going to solve everything. Mm-hmm. And while that is a tool, you do need people to steer investigators to the right area in a number of the cases, bringing the suspect to a particular spot, tying the suspect to the victim, all of those additional things, not just relying on DNA. And you'll see that in a number of cases that are even solved with DNA. When you dig a little bit deeper into those cases, there's more that investigators already had. And the DNA was, as they say, is the cherry on top.
Right.
And not in all the cases, but in many of them, they had a suspect.
Right. We had Stuart Gibbon on last week. We were talking about the different minutia of an investigation. We were talking about that, when you consider DNA and talking about DNA, you think about how young DNA really is and the science of DNA. 1987 in the early 90s is really the birth of DNA. And you think about it as a science, and really it was considered junk science in the 1990s. And how now we rely on it so heavily. But, you think about fingerprints and dental impressions and forensic sciences and even as you're saying, tips and people are so important, and all these different things, even down to pollen and different things to tie and fibers, everything to pull these cases together. It's so important. And there are so many things that go into an investigation to pull everything together. And then after I talked to Stuart and then reading your book, Child Last Seen, it's amazing what was pulled together to finally get Conrad on this case.
And that's one of the reasons why I was so fascinated with the story. I had come upon the story when I was working on my second book, The Ghost, the murder of Police Chief Greg Adams and the hunt for his killer, which is a book that spanned two locations, one in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, and it ended in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. And I was in Pennsylvania doing some wrap-up work on The Ghost, and one of the prime investigators in Patty Desmond's case, Danny McKnight, I had interviewed him for The Ghost, and he mentioned this case, and he also had all of his case files, which was very helpful and provided a good background on the case. And what was surprising about the case was how few people knew about it, how few stories at the time there were. There were a number once the case was concluded in the 80s, but not initially. And I was really taken by the work that went into it initially and how all of the investigators really hit a brick wall because they could only take it so far. They had no crime scene. They had no body. They had suspicions, and very good suspicions.
Yeah.
When it also comes to, we're talking about DNA and how relative, and I know I'm skipping around here, but how young okay. DNA is. Yeah. And I recall as a reporter being in a courtroom with a prosecutor going step by step by step in an initial hearing with a judge to get the DNA admitted, and then going step by step by step with a jury to explain what DNA was. And the defense attorneys essentially calling it junk science. Because it was, going with the numbers, and with the numbers really confused jurors. And today we just shrug it off to, oh yeah, DNA proved this. And that was not the case. In each of those cases, and this was in the late 80s, early 90s, each of those cases, DNA was not universally accepted. And they did have to really school both judges and jurors on why DNA should be admitted. And here we are, how many years later, and we are just assume DNA is found everywhere. In every cold case, the first thing people will say in any forum is, but what about DNA? DNA can solve it. And, even today, sometimes there isn't enough DNA to, or it's degraded so much that they can't use it. And back then, even if you had DNA, they needed very large samples.
Exactly.
As opposed to now. And, sometimes the samples would get destroyed during the testing, and they had to make sure that they had enough of the sample so the defense could also test the sample. It was a whole different world back then.
Yeah. And skipping around a little bit, as you said, the amount of DNA you needed, and we're talking about now by the time we get to actually prosecuting Conrad, we're talking what, 80s?
Yes, we're talking the 80s.
Okay. So you needed a significant amount of DNA, which by the time they start to get to finding remains of Patty, there's not enough DNA per se,
No.
correct?
No. So this is not a DNA case.
Right.
This is a case where, and it is very much a building block type of case where they are piecing together different elements that eventually create the house of the case, where they've got the foundation. This is not. It's a forensic case in some regards, but it's more in terms of the discovery of Patty as opposed to the DNA aspect of it. This is really police work that solved it along with someone coming forward.
But it's intriguing. It's intriguing in the fact that of what they had to work with, and I don't want to spoil that. Again, I want to leave that for the reader because of the fact that it was just that one tip that sent the snowball in motion, so to speak, and it got it to roll into a snow boulder, and it got it bigger and bigger and bigger, and that sent police to where they needed to go to start to find Patty's remains and get them enough to get Conrad prosecuted.
Yes.
Otherwise, Conrad had the perfect crime. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yeah. He did have the perfect crime because there was no body, and there was a lot of suspicion. And, let's face it, he did get away with it for decades. But it does, and that's it. We have to remember the importance of people in all of these cases, whether it's the investigators, witnesses, people with tips. That is what solves these cases, along with the science. But people, that human element is what pushes and directs investigators into certain areas. If they have bad information, well, at least the investigators can look at in that avenue and decide, no, we're not going to go that way. If they have good information, guess what? That can make the case, and that can help investigators find the evidence that is out there because they know where they're looking. And that was the case here, where they were able to get to that crucial point, and everything else that they had from 1965 on then all fell into place. It all made sense. And that was that was very, very important. And it also speaks to, in this case, it also speaks to people taking that moral step of doing the right thing. It can be, we have this currently, this quote unquote no snitching culture, where people will say, and this isn't new, this has been going on for years and years and years.
Right.
But even then, there was, you don't tell on family, you don't tell on friends, you don't tell on anyone, you just, mind your own business. And that was the thinking in some circles back then, and that is why the case went unsolved for so long, until someone came forward and said, wait, this is what happened.
Now, Maureen, let me ask you this real quick. Now, is it a matter of protecting family, or is it a matter of fear and reprisal? Because when you look at Conrad's crime record throughout the decades, when you look at his unabashed criminal record, when you look at the fact that he's not ashamed to go after someone, when he's not, the man has no conscience. Let's face it. When you look at his criminal record, is it a matter of fear, or is it a matter of protection when it comes to not coming forward and let's call it giving information, not snitching, but giving information when it comes to this case? Is it a matter of fear of reprisal, or is it a matter of protecting a loved one?
I think in this case it was a matter both. Okay. Because there was a number of people who knew and didn't come forward at that time. And in one case, it may have been protection, and with some of the other people, it was fear. Okay. So there's both. And in all cases today, well, not all, most of the cases today, when people aren't coming forward, it is often fear of reprisal, especially if it's a stranger. It's, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. I don't need people coming at me. Or if it's someone that's close to them, they don't want to get them in trouble. So there's a, feeling that they need to protect them. But that's something that's been going on for decades upon decades upon decades. It's not new in this case, but in this case, this is a murder that happened in a very small community in Western Pennsylvania. So this is not where you would normally think of a lot of secrets when it came to a murder, because everyone knows everyone. In small towns have secrets, but very often in small towns, everyone knows the secret. They just don't discuss the secret outside of the small town.
Yeah.
In this case, everyone had suspicions, but police couldn't get anyone who had direct knowledge or knowledge that could lead them to direct evidence that would tie him to the murder until the 80s.
I wonder, we talk about small towns having their secrets, but then we also talk about I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use it, Maureen, the forgettability of Patty. And you look at modern day in that area, and there's a little bit of your book, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, that as much as time remembers, time forgets. And
yes, and that's one of the very sad things, and that's one of the reasons why I wound up doing some stories about cases that no one knows about. It's easy to do a book about some cases that are popular, that where everyone knows about it and they want to know more about it.
Yeah.
But what about the cases that are like the hidden cases there that with victims that no one knows their names? And I'm always intrigued by those stories and what the families had to endure, what the police investigators had to uncover, and also what communities had to deal with. And in all cases, often especially with smaller towns, murders affect everyone in the community to one extent or another. Those that are in that direct circle, and then there's that ripple effect in a community. There was, that with the death of the killing of the Saxonburg police chief. And in this case with Patty, there wasn't that much attention paid to her disappearance in the public eye, even though a number of people knew that she was missing. But that is one of the reasons why I thought it was important to tell her story and what happened to her, so that she's not forgotten, that, she was not a famous actress. She was not, a famous artist. She was a teenage 15-year-old girl who never got a chance to grow up. And that's what I find was one of the saddest things of how sometimes people can be anonymous in life and in death. And I really hope to make sure that their lives are noted, that people will realize they mattered. And that is what's important in all of these cases. We have to remember that the victims matter. Yeah. That the families matter. And that's, and only by looking at these cases and exploring these cases, hopefully only by doing that can we perhaps prevent other cases, similar cases in the future, by understanding how a killer could walk amongst a community for decades. Although in Miller's case, he had been in and out of prison, so he wasn't walking free much of the time.
Right.
But how can someone get away with murder And what does that say about your own safety in a community, even a small community where you feel safe?
Yeah.
Yeah. When we always think that it's, if you're in a large city like Boston or New York or Memphis or Chicago, that's where you are unsafe, that you're in danger, so you're always on alert. But what about in the small towns throughout the country, of which there are many, that, when the sun sets, and can people hear you scream in the wilderness?
True. You bring up a very good point. There's a very good tale or a very good moral to the story that you bring up with Patty. But I wonder to myself, as I read this book, who keeps Patty's name alive more? And I don't know that you're going to like the choices I give you here, but I'm going to give you the choice. Is it the remaining family that's still alive of Patty's, or is it actually Conrad Miller? Because it's in a notorious way, and I'll give you these two examples, and you tell me whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Conrad Miller still exists. He's still around. He's notorious, not infamous, but notorious. The name is still connected to Patty. And people have this fascination with killers. So that name still exists to Patty, even though Patty's life is very tragic. Yet,
that's true in any murder case. The victim and the killer will always be forever tied together. Mm-hmm. In any case, O.J. Simpson, it will always be tied to the victims. Yeah. Although when it comes to serial killers with multiple victims, unfortunately, the killer's name is more well known than the victims, which I think is very sad. Mm-hmm. But they will always be tied together in that regard. But I think it is important for a community at large to keep her memory alive. Her family is, it's been years. She only has, 2 siblings left alive. Her mom has since passed. That's when they're gone. I hope that the community remembers her, mm-hmm. And not just remember the person who killed her. And that's what I think is the most important thing. I hope that his name fades and her name remains.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would think there should be some, and I'm not trying to be judgmental here, but I would think there should be some shame in the community, because here was a girl you overlooked for 15 years of her life, a girl you let go by the wayside while she was missing. And then in modern day 2023, a girl you forgot about again, Well, back then in 1965, people knew she was missing. And in the circle of friends and family that she knew, she was known. Mm-hmm. But in any community, even in the smallest community, people are sectioned off into their own lives, into their own groups. So there may be people who knew of her or went to school with her, but were not in the same circle of friends with her, or the same circle of her family. That's just, I think, normal. And I don't think that there should be any shame in the community, because that is a very giving community. That whole area is, people will step up and help an individual at the drop of a hat. They are very, very open-hearted. Okay.
I suspect Patty's mother was very, very proud and would not have sought out extra help. So there is also that, when you have a community with individuals who are very proud and don't like sharing a lot of their heartache that they have, And given that time period of in the 60s, I don't, even in the schools, the school systems were different back then. So I don't think that the community has anything to answer to, so to speak, because that was how things were then. It doesn't mean that it was right, but that's how things were then, where there wasn't, where a missing teenager was considered a runaway, as opposed to something happened to her. And Patty, according to the police reports, had run away at least once before. So there was that type of, there wasn't that urgency initially.
But have they done anything to memorialize her?
No, not that I'm aware of.
So it's,
other than her family.
Yeah.
But there's other, I think there's other cases of missing children in the area, that greater area within a 2-hour drive, where they were also looking at missing persons cases too.
Well, I guess in the interest of all those missing children, there could be something to be done to remember all of them. But to me, it seems like a huge tragedy. You know what I'm saying, Maureen?
Yep. It's tragic all around.
Yeah.
Because you have a family who perhaps didn't know how to get more attention onto her disappearance.
Yeah.
Because they weren't from, we're not talking about, the police chief's child or a councilman or a selectman or, a town leader's child where there might be more attention paid. We're talking about an average family that was, struggling. And very often unfortunately, there isn't a lot of attention paid to those cases. People may remember them years later, but there's a lot of people in the community today who had never heard of this case.
In all fairness, too, and I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat or anything, but in all fairness, too, before Adam Walsh, we all didn't know how to deal with missing children either. So
that's very true.
There was no network. There was no way to mobilize authorities to look for children in a timely manner. To deal with cases like this either. But in hindsight, it is always 20/20. Yeah. But it's just sad that area, I don't know, hasn't done more to remember her, I guess. That's just my own personal opinion. And
it's sad, all around that how lives can be lost, and especially when they're really young, that they're not. Other than the family, there doesn't seem to be that big gaping hole in the community.
Right. Just one last question here for you, Maureen, before we wrap stuff up. Was it ever proven? I know I don't know how much forensic evidence there was, but was it ever proven that Patty was pregnant?
No. Based on the remains, no.
Okay. All right. The book is out there right now, Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond. We have a link to it in the description of this program. I encourage everyone to go get it and read for yourself. There is some fascinating stuff in there, folks. There's a lot more background on Conrad Miller. I tell you, there's some stuff in there that might make your skin crawl about Conrad Miller. I'll just put it to you that way. If you are into that sort of stuff, as far as criminals go, he has a long resume. We'll put it that way.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so there's lots of interesting reading there. There's also some interesting comparative cases in there as well to Patty's case. Maureen's done her research, folks, and it is in that book, Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond. Maureen, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This was a lovely time, and I'm so glad to be able to get the opportunity to talk about the book and to talk about Patty.
Well, thank you, Maureen. We appreciate you being on again. And Maureen has other books out there as well. We've got a link to her website, so you can go to her website and check out her other books that are out as well. We encourage you to pick out her other books. She mentioned The Ghost, that also one of the players, you were talking about Detective McKnight as well, right? That's yes. In this book. He's in The Ghost.
He's also in The Ghost. He was a regular trooper at the time, so he was there at the scene.
So The Ghost is available on Maureen's website, maureenboylewriter.com. We'll have a link to that, and Shallow Graves, which I believe we talked to you about Shallow Graves 5 years ago already?
I know. It seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah, you were on the program 5 years ago. You can check that out in the archives of True Crime Tuesday. We have that up right now at darknessradioshow.com. So, Maureen, thank you so much for being with us today.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Right. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's bring in Beer City Bruiser. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time you're all looking forward to, the time where we get down, dirty, and a little funny. It's time now for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, and with that, we bring in a co-host with the most. Of course, we're talking about the BCB, the big cuddly bear himself, fresh off a meet and greet. It's the Beer City Bruiser. Bruiser, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I love that you described my sex life with the opening there.
Oh, well, yeah, of
Fresh,
course.
dirty, and funny.
Well, you know, I gotta put out a little bit of a twist on things, and we want to get to know you completely. So why not throw in your sex life? I mean, you know, it's just why not?
Yeah. It was just like, oh, hey, look, I've heard my sex life described in the same 3 adjectives, so perfect.
Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, not like that, but you know, it's my pleasure. I'm just saying.
The only thing is, it's not criminal, which is good.
Well, yeah, you want to keep that out of the sex life. Although some people don't. I'm just saying true. That will be included into that. Not your sex life, but I mean, you know, somebody else's sex life.
Sex life.
Yeah, will be included in Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today. Boy, oh boy, Bruiser, we got a show for you today. It is confusing. There's some serious stuff in here. By the way, we are excluding one person's sex life out of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today. I got this story from multiple people this week. I'm not going to include it. It's about a professor who was busted for screwing the pooch, so to speak. Yes, it involved sex with his dog. We're not going to include that story this week. We're animal lovers, but we're not going that far.
Yeah, I love Ziggy and Talia, but never once have I woken up and went, "Hey, girl, look at you poop."
Yeah, there are certain stories that cross the line on the show. That's a story that crosses the line. So we're not going there this week.
Just pet your puppies and hug them and kiss them and feed them treats and let them run. And be normal dog owners.
Yeah, so we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there this week. So we'll respectfully refrain. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll respectfully refrain from that story. Although we do appreciate the folks who send in the story. Keep sending us in stories. You don't necessarily know where the line is. We appreciate it. It doesn't matter if you send in stories. We'll just respectfully edit it out. So that's
yep.
So there you go.
The only comment we have is love your puppies in a good, humane way.
That's right. That's right. We'll start it off, though, with an interesting story. It's one thing for us as normal people to get stalked. It's pretty scary. It's another when it's the police who get stalked.
Oh, yeah. What?
Yeah. Okay. This is a case of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals getting a little too inside and wanting to stalk the police.
Yeah, it's not the person you want to stalk. They have all the resources to find out you're stalking them.
That's right. And we're going to Florida, believe it or not. It's a Florida man who decided to be stupid about this.
Well, go figure.
Yeah. A DEA agent was stalked for 10 years by a paranoid Floridian who is nabbed by cops near the home of a federal agent's mother.
Really?
Yes.
So he didn't just go local small town bumpkin sheriff. He went federal.
he went to the top, my friend. He decided, I'm gonna follow this guy. Oh, for 10 years. A paranoid Florida man stalked a DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration agent, for 10 years, according to police who arrested the suspect after he was observed driving in very close proximity to the residence of the victim's 71-year-old mother. This, according to court records. Investigators charged that 41-year-old Bradley Smith began stalking, I believe it is Evan Miyamoto, after meeting the federal agent when he went to the DEA office in Tampa to report suspicious drug activity.
So he went to report the suspicious drug activity. Out came the agent and just butterflies and rainbows and singing. And he's like, this is the guy I got to follow.
I don't think that's how it went down. I'll tell you how it went down.
That's what I'm picturing in my head.
Since that encounter a decade ago, Smith became paranoid that the victim was investigating him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Despite Miyamoto's assurance that he was not being investigated, Smith allegedly pursued a years-long stalking campaign that included him showing up at the Tampa DEA office and other parts of the country in search of the 38-year-old Miyamoto. Due to Smith contacting multiple government agencies, inquiring on the victim's residence, and coming into government offices, he was trespassed from the DEA's Tampa office. Agents have spoken with the defendant multiple times and asked him to stop calling their offices and attempting to locate the victim. That, according to a sheriff's deputy.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know anybody that knows this, but you can't call up a police station and they won't willy-nilly just give you information on one of their federal agents. Like, there's security there. No matter what.
Yeah, exactly. Smith allegedly made threats to harm Miyamoto. Now he's crossing the line.
Yep.
And according to a witness, claimed that he knew where the victim lived and is driven by his house several times. Yikes.
Talk about living rent-free in someone's head.
Right. The witness, who is not identified in a June 15th felony complaint filed against Smith, told cops that Smith said he had access to firearms while speaking out about how he is frustrated with Miyamoto.
Wow.
Yeah.
Frustrated because he's not investigating you. Talk about narcissistic.
This is bizarre.
This is. You know what? If I have a police officer that lives next door to me. He just built a beautiful house. He has a beautiful family, and I've talked to him. Not once did I ever think, oh, he's investigating me.
No. No. I used to live kitty corner from a county sheriff, and I would see him quite often. We'd pull out around the same time. He'd be going to work, and I'd be going to the gym. And never once did I think, oh, he's going to follow me and give me a ticket.
Yeah.
No, he was going to work. I was going to the gym.
I wonder what the underlying things that this guy's hiding that he literally feels guilty for, that he thinks they're investigating him. Because that's a guilty conscience.
Yeah, it is. It is. While searching for Miyamoto, Smith was recently spotted by Miyamoto's mother on multiple occasions, stopping in front of her residence where the victim grew up living. Smith, who was recorded by surveillance cameras outside the woman's home, was arrested earlier this month while in very close proximity to the residence. Smith was initially charged with a misdemeanor stalking count. He was charged yesterday with aggravated stalking, which is a felony, for putting Miyamoto in fear by showing up at his mother's residence and making threats to cause him harm. Smith, who lives in a mobile home park in St. Petersburg, is being held without bond. A judge has ordered him to have no contact with Miyamoto.
Yeah, and now he got what he wanted. There's an investigation into him.
That's right. Now he is on the radar.
Have you ever met anyone that had stalked somebody? I've met someone that it was a borderline stalker case where we had to have almost an intervention for him. Be like, look, man, this is infatuation is one thing. You're getting real close to crossing that line.
Oh, I've met two people who have stalked me.
I've had stalkers too. Yeah.
And it's alarming because you wonder what it is they think they're thinking. I mean, you know,
and you really, you form a bubble around you. Like your life is affected more than just, I got to watch out for this person. Like you literally don't trust anybody.
It takes a long time to feel semi-safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a girl show up at my house one time, and when I met her, I never gave her my real name. I gave her my wrestling name at the time. Mm-hmm. And then one 4th of July, there's a knock at my front door, and I opened the door, and there she was.
Weird.
And I said, what? She says, oh, when you were doing this, I took a copy of your driver's license.
Oh, bizarre.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And scary. What if my kids are there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bizarre. And I don't claim to be anybody, but you know, when I was on air in the Twin Cities,
yeah,
it was worse than even now in podcast land. It's not so bad.
Well, there's a movie on a late night talk show host on the radio, right? Who gets stalked? I forget the name. Night Calls, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And it might be just a B movie, horror movie, but it's about a nighttime disc jockey.
Yeah.
You remember back in the day when they'd always have the call-in shows and all that? Yeah.
Yep. I did that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's when I would get
maybe they're just telling your story, Tim.
I did overnights, brother. I'll tell you, I did evenings and overnights, and that's when you get them. That's when you get the lonely people who give you a call. It happens, and that's when one of them came through.
See, I bet you this movie's all about you.
It's a common story. You talk to any jock who's worked overnights or worked early evenings or sometime around the time where the bars close, you get them. Okay. You do. Yeah. It's a common one. Maybe someday I'll tell the story. Someday when we have more time, I'll tell stories. But it's yes, I've had, you get people who call and, they're in the bathtub or they're trying to talk naughty to you or you get all kinds of,
like, sir, I'd just like to request for what song you want.
What song?
You want Wings? You want Journey? What do you want?
Just give me your Johnny Cash request and I'll play it. I just got done eating dinner. I'd like to hold on to it. So you just, after a while, you pay it no mind. It's just a game. So. Well,
you just got that sexy, smooth voice. That's what it is.
No, I don't. That's the thing. I sound like a 14-year-old. I don't know what the appeal was, but I think the appeal is it's because, you're in somebody's personal space and they think they get to know you. So, so they feel like there's that intimate bond there. So and really with radio, it's not. It's here is, the weather currently is, and we've got more coming up for you. There's nothing intimate about radio.
No.
So, that it is what it is. Let's move on. A Michigan teen is convicted of killing her father with drain cleaner over a hair salon appointment. And I should clarify that last statement of what I said. Radio, corporate radio, there's nothing intimate about it. With podcasting, there's something more intimate about it. We get to know you guys, you get to know us. There's nothing intimate about corporate radio. And that's kind of why I love podcasting over corporate radio. You just don't get to know anybody.
Right. It's just here's the news, here's the weather.
Yeah.
Here's a funny anecdote.
Yeah. There was nothing intimate about corporate radio. A Michigan teen, and by the way, this sent in by a listener. I'm trying to remember, was this Brandon who sent this in? We had a new listener this week who sent in a news story. So,
oh, cool. Yeah.
So, and keep them coming, folks. If you have a news story you want to hear here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, Tim@darknessradio.com. Send it in there. Michigan teen is convicted of killing her father with drain cleaner over a hair salon appointment.
That's not good. No, that's not the way you handle it.
Megan Emirowitz. Her father endured a double leg amputation and skin grafts before succumbing to his injuries.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's pain, my friend.
Yeah.
A Michigan teenager was convicted on Thursday of throwing drain cleaner on her father as he napped.
Man.
Yeah, after he reneged on a promise to take her to a hair salon for her 18th birthday. 19-year-old Megan Joyce Emirowitz was found guilty by an Oakland County jury of unlawful use of irritants causing the death of her 64-year-old father, Conrad Emirowitz, on October 1st of 2021, and of misdemeanor domestic violence. Her father, who struggled with alcoholism, was too drunk to drive her to the appointment, that according to prosecutors. The enraged teenager threw lye powder and water on him as he slept on a sofa in their Ortonville home just northwest of Detroit.
And lye will disintegrate a body.
Yes. How?
But you know what? Props to that guy. He was 64 and had a 19-year-old daughter. That means when he was in his late 40s, early 50s, he still got some swimmers.
That's right. He suffered chemical burns across his body and succumbed to injuries just 5 months later. Jeez. The defendant, who broke into tears upon hearing the verdict, faces up to life in prison when she's sentenced on July 25th. This is a tragic case. The defendant lashed out in anger and wound up killing her father, Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said in a statement. I commend the prosecution team for the tremendous work that went into the prosecution and in securing justice for the victim in this case. The 4-day trial included harrowing testimony from the defendant's brother, Austin Emirowitz, and her mother, Joyce Conrad. The son said his father, who was hospitalized for months in intensive care, underwent numerous skin grafts and endured infections that led to the amputation of both his legs. In March of 2022, he left the hospital determined to die at home, Austin Emirowitz told the jury. 3 days later, he took his last breath. The son also testified about the night that his father was rushed to the hospital. He said that not long after his father was admitted, his sister called him demanding the PIN to their dad's ATM card.
Oh, geez. Yeah. No remorse whatsoever.
Yeah. What a nice young lady, huh?
Hopefully she goes away forever.
Well, let's hope so. She wanted to pay for the hotel room where she and her friends were celebrating her 18th birthday that night.
Really?
Yep. That's why she wanted the PIN. So she was celebrating while Dad was suffering.
If anybody wants to see what lye does to the human body, watch Fight Club. It's what he puts on his hand while they're making soap. And then lye, like I said, is a common way to dispose of bodies. Mm-hmm. That's what John Wayne Gacy, he'd mix lye and lime to spread on under his crawl space. You know, it's not a good substance.
Commonly what gangsters would use when they try to get rid of bodies, when they went and buried them out in the desert or whatever, they would take a bag of lye and they would take a shovel and that's how they get the bodies to decompose quickly.
And it's painful. Mm-hmm. Like I can't even imagine the pain that man was in till his death.
Yep. By the way, she did not ask about her dad's condition when she asked for the PIN number.
Oh, of course she didn't. All she cared about was partying with her friends.
Yep.
And now she's the only reason she's crying is because she's got to face the consequences.
That's right. Enraged, Austin Emirowitz said he hung up on her. I was angry to show no care at all, to dismiss something so serious, he recalled on the stand, according to the local newspaper. In an interview with police, Megan Emirowitz claimed that she had thrown a bag of bread at her father and possibly water, which were near some cleaning supplies. So she claimed she didn't throw lye at her father.
The lye just attached to the bread, you know. Yeah. You had those kind of French toast, right? You dip it in the eggs, you dip it in the lye, you fry it up, sure. You eat it.
Yeah. It's a recipe from Old Home Country Bread, I believe. Yeah. The defendant's lawyer couldn't immediately be reached for comment. So there you go. There's that story there. That's just shameful. So yeah, I hope she goes up for the rest of her life.
I'm going to sound like an old man, but kids these days.
You do sound like an old man. Here's a story from Chicago. 3 severed, and by the way, this coming from another listener of ours, I believe this is from Margot. 3 severed heads from donor bodies are left at a Chicago employee's desk after complaints are raised about alleged misconduct. I believe there's some rage involved here, too, if there are 3 severed heads involved. We go to Chicago, where Dale Wheatley, who performs deliveries for the Anatomical Gift Association of Illinois, came into work 2 weeks ago and found sage burning and 3 severed heads lying on a plastic container by his desk.
I didn't know there was a return policy on body parts.
I guess there is. Who knew? Wheatley, who has worked for AGA for nearly 5 years, said he's never seen anything like the horror movie-like scene he stumbled upon that Wednesday morning in late May. Wheatley said the heads from AGA donors were placed next to his desk after he reported concerns about the mishandling and poor conditions of donated bodies to his supervisors.
So the supervisor's like, we'll show this asshole. He wants to give us a 1-star review on Yelp. Watch this.
That's right. Here's your 1-star review right here. Actually, 1, 2, 3.
I didn't know you could donate your head.
Well, evidently you can, and it was sitting right there. How's that? How you like them? How you like them apples, Scotty?
Hey, this guy's just trying to get ahead in the business. That's all.
God, no, don't do that. Jeez.
Hey, he's got a head for body parts, okay?
No, don't. Wheatley, who has worked for AGA for nearly 5 years, said he's never seen anything like that in his life. He said the heads from AGA donors were placed next to his desk after he reported concerns about the mishandling and poor condition of donated bodies to his supervisors. He denied any maltreatment accusations, saying that handling body parts is in Wheatley's job description. Wheatley said he filed a police report after the head showed up at his desk and is now filing complaints with local and state authorities. Families of deceased donate bodies to the not-for-profit to be used in the training of medical students at 8 universities across the state, and mishandling causes the bodies to be unfit for use. Wheatley said at a news conference with an attorney, the place is deplorable. It's in shabby conditions, he said. If you're in there for more than 5 minutes, if you start walking around, you start to stick to the floor. Oh, that is a grotesque picture.
He's also leaving out that at the company picnic, they use the heads as volleyballs.
No, they don't use them. They don't use it. No.
You're right. It's on the National Bowling outing.
No. AGA writes on its website that it aims to help donors and their families make their donations with the confidence that the AGA will observe the highest standards of responsiveness, respect, and privacy and security. O'Connor said it's Wheatley's responsibility to handle the bodies. The organization, formerly known as the Demonstrators Society, I'm glad they changed the name, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. Has been in operation for over a century. Wheatley manages the rack room, or the room where the bodies are held at AGA. He drives around to medical institutions, loading and unloading body parts from the tiered racking system in the AGA van.
I don't think of men bodies when I hear the rack room. If I had to choose, and I'm working with bodies, I'm working in the rack room also.
I think so, yeah.
It's a strip club, right?
No, it's not. A QR system is used to identify the body parts, which are embalmed, distributed for study purposes, and then cremated and returned to families. Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine, I almost said anatomy, but it's anatomy. I know the right syllables and the right purposes. Lab manager Casey Tilden sent an email the day before the heads appeared in Wheatley's office complaining about the conditions of the donors they received. Donors, or those who have donated their bodies for medical use, were covered with flies or contorted in such a way that they couldn't be used, Tilden wrote in the email, which was provided to the Tribune. There are a handful of donors that were recently delivered with feet and hands that show signs of decomposition, Tilden said in a message to AGA. According to Wheatley, other universities have also emailed complaints.
Well, that's not good.
No, not good at all. So there you go.
So you figure we'll put the 3 heads together and come up with a solution.
No, they didn't do that, Bruce. They didn't do that at all. Moving on, a woman in disguise tried to kill her ex's wife with a knife hidden in a bouquet of flowers. Nothing says I love you like a bouquet of flowers to the gut.
No, it doesn't. I'm reminded of the Terminator 2 with the cool imagery while the Guns N' Roses song was playing.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he walks in with the bouquet of roses and pulls the gun out of it. I'm like, oh, look at that. They're paying homage to the band.
See?
Guns N' Roses is way better than Knives and Roses. You know?
It is.
Welcome to the Jungle is so much better than Welcome to Antarctica.
You got a point there. Yeah, you got a point. A woman in the United Kingdom has been sentenced to more than 22 years in prison for repeatedly stabbing the wife of a man whom she previously had a romantic relationship with. That, according to local authorities, Claire Bailey launched the that's a Jimmy Stewart joke. Launched the attack with a knife she had hidden in a bouquet of flowers. The 44-year-old Bailey pleaded guilty to attempted murder in connection with the attack last year. North Yorkshire police said in a news release announcing her sentence. Bailey carried out the attack on June 23rd, 2022, when she appeared at the targeted woman's residence in Harrogate, which is a town in North Yorkshire. She was wearing a COVID-style face mask and a red wig. So it was basically a little orphan anti-COVID. Authorities say Bailey showed up at the home with a bouquet of flowers purchased from a grocery store in order to conceal a large carving knife. That's a pretty big bouquet.
That is. And can you picture her in the flower store, like with the knife holding it up? Like, these are too small.
That's not going to cover it. Yep. She showed up at the home with a bouquet of flowers purchased from a grocery store in order to conceal that carving knife. Bailey eventually used the knife to stab the victim, a 43-year-old who police identified as Emma. Although Emma did not know Bailey prior to the stabbing, authorities later determined that Bailey was previously involved in a romantic affair with Emma's husband.
Oops.
Whoopsie. The affair had ended several months before the offense took place, something which Bailey had struggled to accept, obviously.
Yeah.
When Emma met Bailey at the door to her home last June, Bailey launched an unprovoked attack on her, repeatedly stabbing and slashing the victim to her neck, chest, stomach, and arms.
Man, thanks for the flowers, but you forgot to cut the thorns off. These are really slicing me up.
No.
I didn't know fatal attraction could really be a real thing, but the more and more we have these stories, the more and more I'm like, yep, Harrison Ford was in the wrong.
Yes, he was. Yep. The victim's daughter said that Emma attempted to defend herself. The victim's daughter, by the way, a teenager, also witnessed the attack and tried to intervene. Bailey then fled the scene and returned to her home in the West Midlands, where police arrested her 2 days later. Emma survived the attack, but her injuries required extensive surgery and a hospital stay lasting more than a month.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she got cut up.
Do you think when they were asking for get well cards, they told everybody, hey, no flowers, though?
No, Bruiser, no. That month's stay, she was not able to see her children during that month's stay, by the way. The woman also continues to deal with serious physical repercussions of the stabbing, as well as flashbacks, nightmares, and insomnia almost 1 year after the fact. The quote here is, "I'm still in pain every day and need painkillers to help with this. I use crutches to get around as I am still unable to use my right leg fully. And for long distances, I have a wheelchair," Emma said in a statement. "I lost all my independence. I couldn't go back to work. We're having to rely on disability benefits. I have just lost my whole life, really. I need help with everything I do. I know people will have their opinion about what I should have done following the attack, but I have done what's best for me," the statement continued. "Affairs happen. They aren't nice, but they happen, and no one would ever imagine something like this would be the outcome. This was not a normal reaction to someone breaking up a relationship."
No, it's not. It's sad that she's going through that. And the worst part about it is the husband, for their anniversary, planned a trip to the botanical garden. She broke out in a cold sweat and said she didn't want to go.
God. Bruiser.
It is sad. It is.
I should have gave you this one, but I didn't.
Come on, you're not going to give me my flowers for that? Come on, these jokes are killing it. Okay, you take a stab at it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
A year later, you'll find it funny.
I know Father's Day was Sunday, but you didn't have to break the dad jokes out. There you go.
I heard an article, read an article. I don't know if you have it on here, about a dad whose dad jokes actually broke up a bank robbery.
What?
Yeah, or I'm sorry, grocery store robbery. A grocery store was being robbed, and a guy was in there with his 2 kids, and to diffuse the situation, the dad started telling dad jokes. And after an hour and a half standoff, the dad became friends with the hostage takers, and to this day they're still friends because they thought he was hilarious, and he helped calm the situation down enough for them to surrender. So dad jokes work, man.
Dad jokes work.
Yep.
Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick. I don't see it though.
Yeah, I listened to NPR and I heard it on there.
You heard it on there, huh? Huh. Nope. It says I got one that says at least 3 men recently robbed through Grindr dating app. And dad's ass is stolen in a these are 2 stories I don't have today, but we'll throw them in next week. How about that? I got to continue on the knife deal here.
Okay.
This one, Bruiser, it almost sounds like you might have been involved, but not really.
Okay.
I pulled this story in honor of you, my friend, because it sounds like the perfect crime. A knife-wielding thief was busted after a store owner trapped him in the shutters. It just so happens they were breaking open the beer.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah. A robber in England was sentenced to 3 years in jail this week after an attempted robbery, but it was only thanks to the quick thinking of his victim that he ended up in police custody in the first place. It wasn't the most difficult arrest we ever had to make, to be honest. It was an open and shut case. There you go. There's your dad joke. Detective Sergeant Paul Mawson of Durham is it Constabulary? Constabulary? Is that how you say it?
Constabulary? I know they're constables.
Yeah.
So Constabulary?
Told the Northern Echo, 30-year-old Martin Trimble walked into a convenience store last month in Durham City with a knife. He picked up a 4-pack of beer. That's a thing? A 4-pack of beer?
Yeah, over there. You can get some 4-packs here. Like if you get the Tall Boy Coors Light, so that's a 4-pack.
Okay. He picked up a 4-pack of beer and used his knife to threaten the store owner. Rather than let Trimble walk away, the store owner ran outside and closed the door, holding it tight and trapping his thief inside.
You're not getting out of here. Just holding it.
The shop owner, who remained unnamed, then lowered the storefront shutter in an effort to make sure Trimble couldn't escape.
So it's like that scene in episode 1 where Darth Maul's pacing like a lion.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Qui-Gon just sits down.
Yeah.
The store closes the shutters and just sits down and starts to meditate.
That's right. Trimble tried to avoid capture again by breaking the door free of the shop owner's grip and trying to slip out before the shutter had fully descended, but the shutter was too low and Trimble found himself pinned to the ground, his torso outside and open to the street.
Oh, no.
That's funny. Realizing he was beat, Trimble cracked open one of the beers that he tried to steal and drank it while he waited for the police to take him away.
That's what I'd do. You're done, you know?
Yeah, you might as well have a beer.
Exactly.
Yep. Officers arrived within 3 minutes of receiving the call and arrested Trimble. He pled guilty to a charge of attempted robbery and possession of a knife, and was sentenced on June 16th to prison. So there you go. He gave up, started drinking the beer. Good for him. Yeah, gave up, had a beer, decided, it ain't worth it.
I'd be worried to have my upper half on the outside because you don't know how many drunkards are going to walk past and pee on you.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And if I was a store owner, I'd be like, come on. Whatever you want to do until the cops get here.
Have a go.
Yep,
Whatever you want to do.
Put a sign out, do whatever you want to this guy's face.
Have a crank. Go at it. Oh. Yeah, not good. Let's move on. An Illinois man is charged with shooting himself during a dream.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. This one, I think, came in from Margot. Thanks to her for the story. The Lake Barrington man shot himself in the leg in April. He's been charged in part because he had a gun with a revoked firearms owner's identification card.
Oops.
Yeah. An Illinois man who police say shot himself in the leg while he was dreaming about burglars has been charged with firearms offenses.
Where was the gun?
Well, I'm about to tell you. The 62-year-old Lake Barrington man survived the accidental April shooting, and no one else was hurt. The Lake County Sheriff's Office said he was charged with possessing a firearm with a revoked firearm owner's identification, which is required in Illinois, and reckless discharge of a firearm. This, according to the Sheriff's Office. The man was arrested on a warrant Monday and is free after he posted bond. The shooting happened after around 9:50 p.m. on April 10th, and first responders needed to use a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. The man had a dream that someone was breaking into his home and fired a .357 caliber revolver, it said. The bullet went into the bed. When he fired, he shot himself and apparently woke up from the dream.
You think? 357 does some damage.
Yeah. Investigators found no evidence of a burglary. It was not clear from the statement why the firearm identification card, called a FOID, had been revoked. Online court records did not appear to show an attorney for the man who was charged on Tuesday evening. In Illinois, gun owners are required to have a firearm owner's identification card to legally possess firearms or ammunition. Lake Barrington is a village of around 5,000, about 35 miles northwest of downtown Chicago.
I picture him waking up the next morning, going in the kitchen to get his coffee, talking to his wife, going, I had the strangest dream last night. Someone broke in the house and I shot him. And the wife's like, honey, your leg.
You're bleeding.
You have blood everywhere.
You are bleeding out, sir. Yeah. Another one. This one sent in from Tom. Tom is stepping up his game this week.
Oh, Tom took the challenge, huh?
He took the challenge. This is a good one. A road rage incident involving a tractor trailer and guns leads to an arrest in Bartow County.
Great headline.
Yep. The Gordon County Sheriff's Office said that a road rage incident began near the Georgia-Tennessee state line.
Of course it did.
Cue the banjos, if you will.
I've been to that state line. It's country.
Yep. On Interstate 75 involving two tractor-trailer trucks that resulted in an arrest in Bartow County. The sad thing is there's no Florida man here, but, you know, it's close.
It's close enough. You're only a couple states away.
That's right. The two trucks, after entering Georgia, drove southbound on the interstate, with one truck, according to witnesses, attempting to force the other from the roadway. The incident allegedly began with one truck attempting to change lanes. The truck continued southward through Whitfield County into Gordon County, where one of the drivers fired a shot from a handgun into the driver's compartment of the other truck.
Oops.
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble. The victim driver was struck and injured by flying shards of glass from the shot, but managed to notify 911 and followed the offender into Bartow County. The offender, subsequently identified as one Nasha. Whoa, what a name. Hold on. Nasha Jewel Johnson, age 25, of Boynton Beach, Florida. Here's the Florida connection.
There's the Florida man. You knew he's a Florida man.
That's right. Was apprehended by state troopers on Interstate 75 in Bartow County. The victim stopped at a truck stop near the Cass White exit and was located by Bartow County deputy sheriffs. Gordon County Sheriff's detectives went to Bartow County and took custody of the offender, took statements from the victim and other witnesses, and also had the offender's truck taken to the sheriff's office. Their detectives executed a search warrant for the truck and discovered the handgun believed to have been used in the assault, as well as other physical evidence. Johnson was jailed and charged with aggravated assault, aggressive driving, and pointing a pistol at another. That's a charge.
That's a great charge.
That's a great charge. The victim was treated and released from Cartersville Medical Center. Johnson remains in custody pending bond.
Breaker 19, I need a smoky. What's up there, Chuck? Well, I was just getting shot at and need to get this guy pulled over.
Now we're going to jump into Florida land, if you will, and get a little bit of Florida man.
So that was just a teaser for Florida man.
Yeah, now we're doing the real thing. It turns out somebody is a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Okay, which you have the right to do.
Yeah, and is a big fan of one of the casts.
Okay, in fact, I'm a fan of a lot of the cast. They're great actors.
In fact, such a big fan, they decided to adopt one of them for their own.
Wait, I can adopt Chris Pratt?
Well, not Chris Pratt. That's not the one. Let me explain.
Zoe sends and whatever. I'll adopt her.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll adopt Zoe Saldana. Yeah. It wasn't her either.
She has to have the makeup, though.
Yeah. The green makeup so that she dies of toxicity. Yes. Yeah. Green paint will kill you. No, Bruiser, it's not her either. It turns out that Clearwater police arrested a woman for drugs and found a raccoon in her bag. That's right. She thought she was carrying Rocket Raccoon. We go to Clearwater, Florida. Why is it Clearwater is now the trash capital of the world?
Have you been there?
Yes, I've been there many a times.
That place is stuck in the 80s, man.
It's very pretty when you drive through. Just don't stop.
My old trainer Trevor used to live in Clearwater, so every time that Ring of Honor was in Lakeland, which is up by Tampa, I'd make the drive down and stay a week with him. Mm-hmm. And we'd always go to the beach every day, and there's bars there, Hogan's Beach Shop, Bushwhacker Luke's got a gym there, but it's stuck in the 80s.
It is, yeah.
I saw a guy walking around with a hot pink Gold's Gym t-shirt with the skin-tight biker shorts that were red and white striped in a fanny pack.
Yeah.
I thought I only saw it in the professional wrestling world. No, real human beings in Florida
they do
that.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. He had the old Oakleys, too. You know, the big razor blade Oakleys?
Yep.
With the leather Harley-Davidson do-rag? Yeah.
Yep. It's, Yeah.
And this guy had to be all about 180 pounds soaking wet, so I don't know why he had a Gold's Gym hot pink tank top.
Because he thought he looked good in it. That's what.
And he was walking with his Marlboro smoking, drinking whiskey every single day, suntan wife who was probably 30 but looked like she was 75.
Yeah, she looked like a leather couch.
Yeah, and sounded like, a trucker.
She sounded like this.
Welcome to Clearwater.
You all want to go to Steak and Shake and grab some lunch?
Clearwater's a great beach. Glad you could come. Pick up your cigarette butts.
Hey, sweetie, you got a light?
Vaping's for pussies. I do the real thing.
I take the filters off my Marlboros, otherwise I can't taste it.
And I wish they still had Pall Mall.
Pall Mall was wonderful. You know, when they had the Pall Mall uptown.
We go to Clearwater, where a woman was found with a baby raccoon in her bag after police searched her belongings during a bicycle stop.
That's my raccoon, boys. It's okay.
That's not a raccoon. I forgot to shave.
You guys seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Yeah, this is Rocket. He's not really a raccoon.
He's a squirrel.
He's the stand-in.
That's right. According to the Clearwater Police Department, 43-year-old Lindsay Rodewald was stopped while riding her bike, which did not have lights on during the night.
Oh, I guess that is a thing. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's a violation. While speaking with police, she gave them verbal consent to search her backpack. Officers found a broken glass pipe with crystal residue. Yay.
Sure, go ahead. Look at my bag. It's not my meth. My raccoon, but not my meth. That's the raccoon's meth. Why do you think they call him Rocket?
A field test indicated the presence of methamphetamine on the raccoon.
Raccoon was as high as a kite.
He's just chattering away in the bag.
He's just yelling, Groot? Where's Groot? Groot?
Rodewald told the police department she forgot the pipe was in her bag and that she used meth a few days prior. But the raccoon was high as fuck. I'm just saying. Yep. Rodewald told the police department, I just read that twice because I'm high as fuck too.
I'd like to smoke my meth, but the raccoon there, he bogarted the whole thing. I gotta wait.
I won't even hit the button for that one. Upon further investigation, the raccoon was found in the woman's backpack. Police said it was around a week old. Baby raccoon.
Yeah.
High as fuck. The critter was taken to the Veterinarian Emergency Group in Tampa. It will be cared for alongside other young raccoons before being released into the wild. Is it baby raccoon a side thing that people carry around in Florida?
I guess so. If they got enough in there that they have a whole wing for just baby raccoons.
Yeah. Interesting.
Baby raccoon? You have a baby raccoon problem. Bring it on down. Raccoons are us.
That's right. That's right.
Ion mess. We'll go put them through rehab.
They have a 12-step program for raccoons at the vet.
For one, you are not Rocky. You live on Earth. You don't have a pet plant.
Aw, that's the cutest thing ever. Hey, Bruiser.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a drug section now. Not we already are, but we're going to get into a little drug section here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. I'm going to ask you a brief question here. You were a big fan of the movie Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
Okay.
Watched it again 4 times now.
Wow. See?
I'm loving it.
You're da-da-da-da-da. So I'll ask you the question. If you want to become a cocaine cowboy, what city and state in the nation do you think you'd go to?
If for cocaine?
Yeah, for cocaine. Where do you think you'd go?
For the cocaine, I'd probably go down to Mexico. Or, I'm sorry, Florida. Because there's a lot of cocaine in Florida.
Got to be in the U.S. Okay, so Florida.
Mm-hmm. Or I'd go into New York City. I believe there's probably a lot of the cocaine.
You would think, right? Or maybe L.A. L.A. would be good.
Southern California. Anywhere close to Mexico.
Yeah.
Southern Texas, Southern Mexico, or California, New Mexico.
If I was going to...
Maybe even Arizona.
Oh, I was going to take a shot, say Seattle. Maybe Seattle is,
Yeah, it could be coming in that way.
Yep.
I don't know how the Canadian blow is compared to the Mexican blow. Probably more polite.
Well, this has got to be in the U.S. So I'm going to...
No, I'm saying import-wise.
Yeah,
if you're importing into Seattle from Canada, does that make you happier or nicer? I don't know. Compared to the Mexican, you know what I mean?
I would even say Texas.
I could say Texas.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Bruiser, I have a story here in front of me that says Traverse City, Michigan is the cocaine capital of the U.S.
That's close to the border, I'm assuming. So, yeah, there's some Canadians up there giving away their snow.
It turns out that also Grand Rapids, Michigan is also among the top 10 wildest cities in the U.S.
I believe that. I've been to Grand Rapids, and we were not allowed to stay overnight in Grand Rapids.
Really?
Yeah, we had a bus where we were doing a loop, so they had us on a bus. And the last night was in Grand Rapids, and then we had a day off, and then I think we were in Buffalo. I don't remember where we were, but they told us, nope, you are not staying in Grand Rapids. It's too risky.
Wow.
The buses didn't feel safe parking in Grand Rapids.
Really?
Yeah. So I believe that it's one of the rowdier cities. I'll give you that. I didn't know about the cocaine, but hey.
Yeah, the cocaina. Michigan's Traverse City is a tourist town primarily known as the cherry capital of the world, but a recent study makes the case that the little beachside burg can also claim the title of being the cocaine capital of the U.S.
Well, good for them.
I don't know that that's good for them, but that's according to OLBG, an online sports betting guide, which is named... Yes.
They know their clientele, okay?
That's right. Which named Michigan's Traverse City and Grand Rapids among the top 10 wildest cities in the U.S., ranking at number 3 and number 10, respectively. To come up with its ranking, OLBG said it analyzed U.S. cities by factors including the prevalence of casinos, strip clubs, cannabis use, and cocaine use. The authors say they also cited county health rankings for self-reported binge drinking or heavy drinking, among others. Traverse City was ranked number 3 overall with a wildness score of 7.71 out of 10.
All right, good for them.
Yes, if you didn't come to party, don't come knocking on Traverse City's door.
But if you want a party, you know where to go to. Hey, any bachelor parties out there, you know where to go.
That's right, Traverse City, Michigan. Yeah. The city is renowned for its vineyards and wineries, and this makes it less surprising that 23% of the residents there drink heavily, the authors wrote. Some of the other factors that make up Traverse City's 7.71 out of 10 overall score are the 12.76 strip clubs per 100,000 residents. And the fact that 65.8% of people here have taken marijuana.
Well, good for them. Where do they take it?
I don't know, over the border maybe.
Because it's legal in Michigan.
That's right. When it comes to cocaine use, Traverse City ranked number 1 with 23.8% of its population of 15,675 having taken the drug.
Well, you got all those vineyards up there, so all those soccer moms, they need energy.
That's right. There's a reason the grapes get picked really fast in Traverse City. It's because
They have the fastest, harvesting time.
That's right. Because 23% of the population is on the coke. Grand Rapids came in at number 9 with 21.4% of its population of 195,911 using the cocaina. Traverse City also ranked as the number 1 U.S. city for cannabis use, with 65% of their residents reporting using the sweet leaf, according to the study. Grand Rapids came in next at number 2, with 65% of their residents admitting to inhaling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now,
again, the marijuana is legal, so okay, that's a stat. Cool. It's the cocaine that's like, whoa.
Yeah, when you're 20-some% of your residents having used coke, you're
how do you get to be a part of that survey? Like, have you ever gotten a survey in the mail that asked you how much cocaine you're using?
No, I never have. Never had. No.
Like I always get, are you happy with your Wi-Fi? Never.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
How many 8 balls do you do in a week?
Yeah, it's always tell us how we're doing. Yeah, how's our driving? It's never, hey, are you 8-balling? So they're saying here that they're taking all the rankings with a grain of salt. They think factoring in cannabis use is a city's wildness score is an old-fashioned way of thinking. Is an old-fashioned way of thinking, considering that cannabis, as you pointed out, Bruiser, was legalized in Michigan for medicinal use in 2008, for adult use in 2018. And anyone who smoked some strong indica knows that wild is perhaps overselling the drug's effect. It'll put you right to sleep.
Oh, it does.
It's also not clear to what extent tourism factors into those figures as well.
Yeah, but nobody's touring to those two places.
Yeah, no one's going to Traverse City for.
Yeah, Grand Rapids maybe, but not Traverse City.
By the way, the top wildest city in the U.S. with a wildness score of 8.61, where would you think that would be?
L.A. or New York?
I don't have a drum roll up, but I'll tell you this much. It ain't neither one of those.
Really? Okay. It's probably someplace like Omaha, Nebraska, or someplace we're not thinking of. Where all they can do is fight, fucking do drugs.
Well, it is a city that you could do all three of those in. But it is Reno, Nevada.
Ah, okay.
Which has got the funniest police force in the city. Or in the land.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. So there you go.
You know, if you call 911 in Reno, they don't show up.
They don't.
No, it's like the actual police show up. I was disappointed.
Yeah, that is sad. Yeah. Speaking of cocaine, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized 14,000 pounds of cocaine worth $186 million in international waters. I think we know where they can take it, though.
We know a place you can dump it off.
Traverse City, Michigan.
I didn't know Lake Michigan was international waters.
Well, it is now. That's why Traverse City is so high. The United States Coast Guard offloaded thousands of pounds of cocaine worth more than $186 million in Miami on Friday. Over 14,000 pounds of illicit narcotics had been intercepted by guardsmen in 9 separate operations, according to the Coast Guard.
Wow.
The missions took place in the international waters of the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to show you a picture that's absolutely going to astound you. If you put all this on your cornflakes, Bruiser, you would be running from here to Istanbul and back. In addition to confiscating the drugs, authorities arrested 12 suspected drug smugglers on various charges. They will face prosecution in U.S. federal courts. The quote here is, the contraband offloaded today represents the professional expertise and dedication of U.S. defense and law enforcement agencies working together to combat the flow of illicit drugs to the Caribbean region into the United States, said a very high Coast Guard Lieutenant Peter Hutchinson, because he probably breathed a little of that in.
Yeah.
They also said, this teamwork is imperative to the identification, interception, and seizure of vessels elicited and illicit trafficking, and it's testament to the hard work of these crews. Here, Bruiser, is a picture of how much cocaine they picked up.
Oh, geez.
How many guys are standing there?
I was going to say, their whole squad is standing in front of... Now, listeners, here's what this is. It's a picture of a boat with every single member of their team. So there's got to be about 30 of them in there.
Yep.
Maybe even more. Mm-hmm. And each person is standing in front of a pallet. Yes, a pallet size of cocaine.
Yep.
And let's see, the shortest guy in that picture is maybe what, 6 foot?
Yep.
And all the pallets are taller than the people in that picture.
Yep. There's a lot of coke there, kids.
That is a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, there is. That's why I said they probably read that really fast.
You see, and I guess that's probably why Florida wasn't brought in, or Miami, is because they're busting them left and right. In Traverse City, no one thinks, oh, this is going to be a cocaine capital of the world.
No. Mm-mm. Nope, absolutely not. That's why Traverse City gets away with it. They're shipping it down from Canada.
You need some blow, eh?
Yeah, you want some blow, eh? Huh? As opposed to a blowy, which is totally different. Let's move on, shall we? We're not even in the not safe for work section yet. A gas station clerk asks his friend to rob his store so he can go home early. This, according to police.
Okay.
You ever just need a day off, Bruiser? You're just like,
yeah.
You know what? I can't do it today. I got to get out of here. I just need a day off.
Whatever happened to the old timey, have your buddy call in and say he's your uncle and your grandma died? Whatever happened to that?
Evidently, it's
like, hey, Tim, I don't want to work today. In about an hour, can you call my boss? Say you're my brother. Say grandma died.
Yeah,
I can get off.
I got to get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope, not this guy.
This guy took it a whole other way.
Yep.
Well, he didn't want to miss out on the money he was going to miss.
Yeah, exactly. He just wanted to be robbed and get out of there.
Exactly.
A gas station employee in Tulsa, Oklahoma is accused of asking a friend to find someone to rob the store so he could go home early. According to the Tulsa Police Department, the investigation began when the employee, whose name is Isaiah Jones, reported that a man walked into the store June 5th and handed him a note that read, "Give me all your money or I will shoot you." Yeah, because that generally happens in a robbery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jones complied and the suspect left with cash. Investigators later identified Stephen Jones, no relation, by the way.
None.
No. As the suspect and arrested him on June 8th. However, police said there was more to the story than what appeared. Stephen Jones confessed to the robbery, but said his friend, I believe it's Aaliyah Locke, set up the crime because Isaiah Jones had asked her if someone could rob the store so he could leave early.
I'd do that for you, Tim.
Would you?
I'd do that for if the cruiser called me up and said, "Hey, have somebody rob my store. I got to get out of here." I'd find somebody for you. I'd make sure they were in a stool pigeon, and like as soon as they got arrested, they throw us under the bus.
I'd be like, Bruiser, I just can't sit here at the comic book store one more moment. Have somebody come in and rob me so I can go home.
Yep, I would do it.
Police say Locke was arrested for an outstanding warrant and provided text messages that corroborated Stephen Jones' story. Police then arrested Isaiah Jones on Wednesday, who admitted to asking Locke to find somebody to rob the store because he was tired and wanted to go home.
Colin's sick, bro.
Yeah, really. Isaiah Jones is charged with embezzlement and conspiracy to commit a felony. Stephen Jones, by the way, is charged with conspiracy to commit embezzlement and possession of a firearm after the former conviction of a felony. Locke was arrested on an outstanding warrant and could also face charges of embezzlement, police said. Both men were released on bond as of Friday afternoon. Locke remains in the Tulsa County Jail. And guess what? Isaiah Jones gets all the time off that he wants.
Yeah, got fired.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the friend. She's sitting in there while the other two are free. She's like, I just made a call.
Right. Well, kids, we're getting to that. We're just about at that time of NSFW. Not quite. We've got one more story, and then we're going to get to the not safe for work part of Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. We got 2 stories left. Our first story, and by the way, we're going back to Florida.
Of course. We have to.
We go to St. Petersburg, Florida. Are you a hoarder?
No.
No?
My father is, but I am not.
Okay. So you know the difficulties of living with a hoarder.
Yes, my father still has, and this is going to date me because they don't do this anymore, but my father still has a Folgers metal can full of bent nails.
My grandfather had that.
Yep, every grandfather had that, and then my father learned from his father, my grandfather. And so now my kids can say their grandfather has it. It's a dying phase, I think. For one, you can't get metal Folgers cans anymore, but
yeah.
No, like I always tell my dad, why? Well, you can bend them back and use them again. And I've never seen him use one nail from there. Never.
My grandpa, this is my mother's father, Grandpa Lasker, used to have entire bales of wire sitting in the corner of the garage that I never saw him use.
Yeah.
And I'd say, Grandpa, what are you doing with all that wire? And he'd go, don't touch that. That's good wire.
Yep.
Okay.
My father got a weight set when I was 10 because I was getting into football and stuff. So he got a weight set from a garage sale. Still owns it to this day. It's all rusted and gross. I say, Dad, I have a gym membership now. I don't need that. Well, no, you never know. The kids might need it. No, my kids don't need it. Well, the grandkids might need it. No, they won't.
They'll need a tetanus shot before and after. Yeah. Just get rid of it. Well, neighbors are clashing with a St. Petersburg hoarder, and his junk collection resumes after the neighbors had 20 tons of his junk hauled away.
That sounds like my father.
20 tons. Now, you may say, well, where's the crime, Tim? We'll tell you. The police were called in on this.
It does get to a point where it's illegal to have that much, especially when it's encroaching on other people's land. But when it starts playing a role and it could possibly harm you, because then they can condemn your house.
Yeah, it's a health hazard.
Yeah.
An admitted hoarder returned from a county jail stint unrelated to code violations involving his property and discovered his piles of junk were gone.
That could throw him into a tizzy, too.
It did. 52-year-old Jason Johns was arrested in December for possession of methamphetamine, surprise, and was locked up on a probation violation.
Of course.
While he was away, the company Junk Warriors gave Johns' friends and family a discount rate to clear the property on 56th Street North, and a stunning 20 tons of trash bruiser was hauled away.
That is a lot of trash.
Yeah.
I'll give my dad that. He has trash, but it's like nails, old car batteries, old batteries.
Yeah.
So stuff that, if you need be, could be useful. It's not like old newspapers or magazines or anything like that.
Right. Here's the kicker. Now, his neighbors say surveillance camera video shows Johns sifting through trash cans near his home and hauling shopping carts of items back to his property.
So he went and found the stuff they took.
Are you ready for this? James Battaglia and other neighbors said Johns collects junk throughout the day, including early in the morning. They said he also acts irrationally when asked to stop and leaves obscene notes on the trash he doesn't take. Right?
My dick's bigger than this.
Exactly.
Meth is a crazy drug, man.
It is. Battaglia went on to say, I don't know if he's going to end up with a credit card in my name. We're not sure what's going on with him, but we want our neighborhood to be a civil neighborhood for everybody. Neighbors said the situation is far from civil, with confrontations erupting on a regular basis. Amanda Ergler called police after an argument between Johns and her husband included a caught-on-camera statement that Egler said was a threat. "I know how to fucking kill you," Johns is heard saying on the recording.
Wow.
Right?
Whoa.
Ergler then called the police.
I would.
But they said because he didn't actively say what he was going to do, how he was going to kill him, or show a weapon, they couldn't do anything, Ergler said.
Yeah, it's a fine line. That's going to suck if this guy gets hurt.
Yep. That was one of the many police visits to John's home. Records show officers have been there 42 times since last April.
Meth is a wonderful drug, I told you.
Yeah. A petition Ergler filed for an injunction for stalking was denied in court. The order stated the court could not issue an injunction to keep the peace between neighbors or force people to behave civilly. No one answered when 8 on Your Side knocked on Johns' door, and he has yet to respond to a note asking for comment. Last year, Johns said some of the debris was dumped in his yard by strangers, and he also blamed his personal issues. Here's the quote. Johns said, "I had a couple of deaths in my family in the past year, and I'm a little bit of a hoarder." No shit, Sherlock. He says, "I admit that." City officials said collecting junk is not illegal. The courts cannot put a lien on the property until violations total at least $15,000.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Andrew Watts, who lives across the street from Johns, has called on changes in the law to allow quicker action by the city when other cases like this arise. "We hear on the media, see something, say something," Watts said. "Well, we see this, but saying something does nothing. It has escalated. Over the last week, the cops were here 5 times. 5 times for this guy."
Jeez.
Yep.
That's insane.
His wife, Bonnie, says she does not feel safe to go outside. "I feel like I'm in prison. I'm imprisoned in my house," she said. "I can't come out here and enjoy the flowers." Why? Because the flowers are buried in shit?
I was going to say, is he covering the flowers? Is he smoking meth right in front of the flowers?
Who knows? Who knows? All right, kids, our last story is a not safe for work story. We're going to give you a couple seconds here to turn down your listening devices. If you're at work, put in your earbuds, AirPods, whatever you got. If you're around the children, not like they should have been listening to this program to begin with, but, just, get ready because we're going to give you a saucy story in 5, 4, 3, 2, and here we go. We're back in Florida, Bruiser.
Okay.
The headline is this, if you're ready for this. "I was too lazy to put on clothes. A woman wearing only a towel and drinking 4 Loko was arrested for allegedly letting kids photograph her naked in the Dollar General parking lot."
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've been in a towel drinking 4 Loko, but I never left my house.
That's right. But why take it to the Dollar General parking lot? That's my thing.
You're going to get the best people there to take pictures.
That's right. A scantily clad 36-year-old woman in Florida was arrested this week after police said she went to a local Dollar General store wearing nothing but a towel wrapped loosely around her body and a can of 4 Loko in her hand as she let a pair of juveniles take pictures and videos of her completely undressed.
Oh, that's so wrong.
That's Florida. Giselle Robinson was taken into custody on Monday and charged with 2 counts of lewd and lascivious exhibition, which is a second-degree felony. Court documents reviewed by Law and Crime magazine have found out. According to the probate cause affidavit, an officer with the Mascot Police Department responded to I believe it's mascot. It's spelled with 2 T's and an E. It may be mascotti.
Who's the mascot? Florida's mascot.
I don't know.
Is it just the mascot of a mascot?
It might be mascot or mascotti. It's 2 T's and an E. I would think the T is
Mascotte?
Mascotti. I don't know.
Maybe it's Native American mascotte.
Mascotte? I don't know.
Like Seminole?
It could be. Yeah, Seminole. Mascotte. Mascate Police Department responded to a call on Monday at about 9:30 p.m. regarding a woman who had allegedly exposed herself to 2 juveniles outside the Dollar General store in the 400 block of East Myers Boulevard. The caller was an employee of the store who had allegedly spoken with the 2 juveniles about the woman.
Well, yeah, they probably would have been, man, the tits and ass that are out there right now.
Check out these selfies, bro.
Yeah.
And
We're glad you guys sell Four Loko. We don't sell Four Loko. Oh, okay.
Where's she getting her supply, bro? I wanted to buy her another can. Speaking of cans, check this one out.
Her towel's a little dirty, but that's okay.
Yeah. An officer found the woman wearing a towel wrapped around her body while holding a can of Four Locos alcoholic beverage, the affidavit states. The woman, later identified as Robinson, allegedly told the officer that walking around in public with only a towel is normal to her.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Especially when on that Four Loko. You can't sit still when you're on Four Loko.
We like to call it the redneck's formal wear, the wrap towel.
Yes. Yeah. You know, this towel is perfect for if you want to go swimming, if you want to take a shower, if you need to lay down and sunbathe. It's all right there.
The officer noted that Robinson appeared visibly intoxicated as she said...
You think? You crack open a Four Loko and you're hammered.
As she said, she chose her attire because she was too lazy to put on any clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I could go with the red dress. Tank top and jeans. No. Bath towel. Perfect. All right, here we go.
Yeah, all right. Let's go down to the Dollar General.
I'm obeying the sign. It only says no shirt, no shoes.
That's right. But I got a bath towel and some flip-flops.
I got a bath towel. I'm good.
Yeah, I got a bath towel and skids.
She's lucky it's the new formula Four Loko, because the original formula would have her bouncing off the walls.
Oh, yeah. The Dollar General employee told the officer that a juvenile under 16 had witnessed a woman naked in the parking lot and recorded it on his cell phone.
And he came in and said, dude, best day ever. My parents used to find Playboys in the woods all the time. We find this in the Dollar General parking lot.
I found me a Giselle under a towel.
I'll raise you Gen Xers and your Playboys in the woods with a Giselle and a towel in a golden dollar store parking lot.
Dude, smell my selfie.
You boys want to see some redneck white trash? Look at that right there. That's some redneck white trash.
After recording the alleged incident, the juvenile forwarded the footage to the employee. Oh, well, he was sharing. That's sharing is caring.
Man, I was working and I missed it. I got you, bro. I got you.
Here it is. The officer called the juvenile's phone, and his guardian answered and agreed to return to the store and speak with the officer. The officer wrote he then met with both juveniles. That doesn't make sense. Who told him they saw Robinson leaving the nearby Circle K, walk over to them and ask them for a lighter. Oh, she needed a light. I see. Yeah,
she didn't have pockets.
Well, yeah.
That's the one thing the bath towel doesn't have is pockets. So you're kind of down there.
You can carry your Marlboros right there, right near the titties. So yeah,
God's pocket.
Yeah, God's pocket.
At least the kid asked for his friend to text him the message instead of having his friend call in somebody to rob the Dollar General so he can go out and see the naked woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, that's a callback. That's wonderful. When they asked her why she wasn't wearing any clothing, she allegedly repeated, "I was too lazy to put clothes on."
It's a nice day. Four Loko's going down way too good. Yeah, I'm just too lazy.
Honey, you want to light up my Marlboro for me? The juvenile then began to record the incident on his cell phone, to which displayed the defendant exposing both her breast and genital area by dropping her towel to both juveniles.
Oops, I dropped my towel.
Go ahead and take it while you got it, baby girl.
Oh, you're filming this? Oops. My towel left.
Video surveillance footage of the encounter allegedly showed that as Robinson walked between the Circle K and the Dollar General, she repeatedly failed to cover her naked body.
Well, of course.
She had an audience.
It's out there now.
Yeah. Per the affidavit, she was unable to keep her towel on, resulting in her displaying her breasts in public, then walking out of the store towards the Dollar General where the incident occurred. The Dollar General store then donated a white T-shirt and basketball shorts to Robinson so she wouldn't have to be processed wearing only the towel.
So they're out $4.
Yeah, there goes the best $4 ever spent.
Yeah.
Yep. Robinson was booked into the Lake County Jail where she's currently being held on $4,000 bond.
Okay.
Funny, no pockets to put the $4,000 in.
But you had 2 juveniles trying to pay her bail. We don't know why.
What do you think? Do you want to see Miss Seven head naked? That's 3 more than a faux head.
Yeah. I can't see her body, so I don't know. Judging by the face, I'm good.
No, you're good. Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Don't need to see her.
Yeah.
No. So there you go. That's it for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'll just have to remember to stay in my house when I'm walking around the towel drinking Four Loko.
Bruisers out there. Hey, boys, want to see some man meat?
I think I'm going to do that today when Mrs. Bruiser gets home from work. Just walk out with the towel and Four Loko, and she's going to go, I'm not even talking to you. You and Tim are online. I know something. I know this has something to do with you two. She'll know right away.
Hey, want to take me down to the Dollar General store?
Tim says I got to meet him at Dollar General. You want to go?
I want to show off the big bruiser to everybody. Show them what they're missing.
Let's stop at Circle K first.
Yeah. I want to see if they'll give me a shirt and a pair of shorts. Yeah, either give them away for free.
That's the new thing, to get a shirt and shorts and show up naked to places.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, that's Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals for today. Bruiser, what you got going on this weekend?
I have my last 2 matches before surgery. I'm very excited.
That's right.
Yep. Mount Airy, Wisconsin. Mount Airy, North Carolina on Saturday. In a barroom brawl match. And then on Sunday for AML Wrestling, their big show in Greensboro, North Carolina. Brian Malonis is coming in. The Bounces are getting back together one last time. And I don't know if I'm not saying this is my last match, but if you're in the area and you've never seen me wrestle and you want to, these are the 2 shows to come see, because I don't know if I'll be back full time.
There you go.
Because surgery is next week, and I'm going to be laid up for a bit. So
there you go. You have your surgery on what day? The 29th? 29th. So there you go. So everybody out there who's got the extra juju, put your prayers out there, put your positive energy out there for Bruiser on the 29th as he has his surgery for his hip, to have his hip replaced. So, but I have been talking, like Ron Simmons was on the show this last Saturday, and he's had his hip done, gave me some great advice. Yeah. And then Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express, he's having his hip done, so he gave me some advice, and it's really cool when you, in the wrestling family, it's this, Tim, as we all come together when someone's in need, and guys that have had the surgery giving me advice, guys that need the surgery giving me advice, and just really cool. I'm nervous, scared, excited, all at once, but most of all, I'm content. I'm ready for it. I owe it to my family. I owe it to my friends. Yeah. I owe it to myself to not be, to be pain-free. Yeah. Finally. Yeah. I mean, I'll still be in pain, 24 years of abusing the body, but it won't be the crippling, can't walk pain. Yeah. Yeah. You deserve to be out of that pain and start to get some sort of quality of life back. And I'll have an update for everybody. I'll miss, obviously, a couple tapings with you, but yep. I'll keep you updated, of course. You're on the list, and then we'll update the listeners when I get back. Sounds good. We're going to arrange to have either Mally or Jessica in Bruiser's absence as he recuperates from surgery, and then when Bruiser is able, he'll come back and be part of the show again. So There you go. Oh, yeah. So, that's what's going on. And this week, an exciting week of shows. Again, we want to thank our guest for today, Maureen Boyle. And again, an interesting book. We want you to go pick up that book of Maureen Boyle's. We have a link in the description of this program to the book that is out now. And again, you can find the book Child Last Seen, The Search for Patty Desmond is the name of the book. I encourage you to pick that up and read all about that. So that's out there right now. Tomorrow on the show, Supernatural News on Darkness Radio. And then on Thursday, we've got the gang from ACG. We're going to talk a little bit of paranormal investigation. They're based.
These are the music guys, right? The music group.
They use music in their investigation. They're also led by a lady named Nat. So we'll talk to Nat and the entire gang. We have the entire gang on from ACG. They're, like I said, based out of Illinois. They've been doing a lot of events lately. They've been actually featured at a lot of events lately. So we're going to get into their unique brand of investigation, paranormal investigation. I'm excited to have them on. So we're going to play some of their EVP. We're going to talk to them about their investigations that they've done. And going to be a good time. So
yeah,
that's something.
Definitely. I'm very curious to hear their investigating methods. It's very intriguing.
Yeah. So that's coming up on Thursday. So it's a busy week here at Darkness Radio. Again, if you have a guest that you'd like to hear either on True Crime Tuesday or on Darkness Radio, just give me a shout, tim@darknessradio.com. Send me a link to the guest that you want to hear from, whether it be a website or whatnot, way to get a hold of that guest, and I will chase him down. I mean, not literally, I won't get all stalkerish or anything, but, I'll chase him down and try to get him booked.
You're not going to drive past their mom's house?
No, I'm not going to drive past their mom's house or anything weird, but, I'll chase him down and we'll get him on the show. That'll do it for today for True Crime Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We'll see you again tomorrow for Darkness Radio. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This has been True Crime Tuesday.